So I manage AI for Good in the UK. My background, as Richard has already mentioned, is kind of in public policy, technology, impact. So I worked for a lot of nonprofit organizations, public sector, private sector organizations before joining AI for Good. And I would say that, I finally joined the company of my dream, and I'm very happy to kind of like present the work that we are doing in the area of AI for Good. So just to start, I'd like to explain that AI for Good is a social enterprise. So we are a company that creates intelligent, ethical, and scalable technology for the most vulnerable and underserved populations, which in essence means that we basically create AI-powered technologies, and to be even more specific, we create experiences using AI for people that are vulnerable, and to help them address their kind of most pressing needs, like safety, privacy, companionship, valid information and awareness, self-actualization, and just, any kind of like, need that we haven't yet built the experience for. We are considering to, basically launch products in the area of mental health, and we're really interested in the area of human trafficking. So we are very open to talk about, new different areas, and discover new subject matters, and build our expertise in these areas. Basically, we make it happen through sustainable partnerships with mostly charitable organizations and NGOs working on the ground. So it's really important for us that we have a partner who knows the area really, really well, because we are technologists, so we cannot be, experts in everything and anything. And our impact goal is to help 100 million vulnerable people. And in addition to that, we also would like to facilitate the development of ethical technology. So we would like to build like an ecosystem where people like us, enthusiasts and entrepreneurs, can create AI for good projects, and make them sustainable, and hopefully help more people around the world. So to support our charity partners and extend their reach and impact, we have developed a way of scaling conversations between vulnerable people and AI in areas such as domestic violence or gender-based violence in South Africa, and comprehensive sex education in India. So these are the two chatbot products that we built for this purposes. So the first one is called Rainbow. It's a digital companion for those at risk of domestic violence and other types of abuse. It was launched in South Africa in 2018. We have provided over 800,000 consultations so far to more than 18,000 users. And just generally talking about this issue, and specifically in the South African context. So as we know, 1 in 3 women have experienced sexual or domestic abuse and violence at some point in their life. And this is a worldwide statistics. So it's not just, South Africa, it's everywhere. So we need to be mindful of that. The problem is huge. In South Africa, specifically, gender-based violence is declared as a national crisis, because less than 1% of cases are being reported to police, and the femicide rate is 5 times higher than anywhere else in the world. Abuse in general is a very lonely experience, and especially in a society where there's a culture of victim blaming and shaming for reporting the abuse. It's becoming extremely hard for people, not only to go to police with their issue, but even to realize that what's their what their relationships are is unhealthy and abusive, and they should do something about it. And those experiencing abuse often lose contact with their friends, their family, so they cannot talk to anyone about this experience. And this is why we designed Rainbow, to act as a companion to support them on that journey. So Rainbow is designed to be non-judgmental, and it is there to provide very honest and actionable information to those at risk of abuse. So for example, we have a quiz where we ask them, what is normal and what is not in relationships. and when they respond with the kind of like a slight, kind of indecisiveness, or like they're not sure whether, it's a correct answer or not, we just tell them, no, this is not normal. You should, take care of yourself and do something about it. And I think it's really important that, even though it's a very friendly tone of voice, so we kind of like do answer these questions in the very straightforward way, as if, your friend would do or family member would do if they would, really care about you and try to help you in this type of situations. So most of the helplines and counselors in general in domestic violence area are only available Monday to Friday, as we know, 9 to 5 p.m. And they be according to our data generated from our chatbot, we obviously can see that abuse usually happens outside of their working hours. So it's in the evenings or on the weekends. That's why like Rainbow is good that it's available 24/7. It also shows the potential victims of abuse, the early signs of abuse, and also tells them, stories and examples, of experiences lived by other people, and basically triggers them to do something, to action. And it allows ones at risk to take action whenever they are ready for it, in a kind of like a very anonymous and discreet environment. So we don't kind of like force them to do anything because first of all, it's dangerous for them. So for example, if we would tell them, leave your house immediately, it might pose actually a greater risk to the victims of the violence than just saying, try to, connect with the local service provider, try to understand, the issue, try to kind of protect yourself. At the same time, we are not kind of acting as a therapist or as a counselor or case manager in this type of situation, because obviously it is just a piece of technology. It cannot do everything. So it's just like important to understand that as well. In general, as I mentioned before, Rainbow is designed to have a friendly, non-judgmental conversation and provide emotional support and information to those at risk of abuse. It was observed that the users of our chatbot are opening up and tend to trust the bot with very secretive, very kind of intimate information, which is quite surprising. But also it kind of like gives us, trust in this technology going forward. We think that, it definitely could be used for other like serious issues such as mental health and child abuse and other type of subjects that kind of require sharing some information where people usually don't want to talk about, and they don't want to label things. They don't want to label themselves as victims of such and such. So it's really important that we kind of provide this safe and discreet space for them to talk and open up and to vent sometimes and just share their experience. The chatbot gives access to relevant resources and local service providers. So we kind of connected with the local organization in South Africa, and through them we validate the service providers. So we always check, that they're actually working, that they're actually available, that their helplines are still, working, and that they will be there for our users in case something dramatic happens. And talking about COVID, we've seen like an increase, 103% increase in active users. And we also had to add like some information to our chatbot related to COVID specifically, and signpost them to this information and to helplines providing help specifically for COVID related issues. So we just wanted to be extra helpful because we saw that people started asking questions about COVID. So we thought it was important to respond, but also we understand that in general in the situation, it's really hard to escape your house because basically of the lockdown and other type of interventions and measures introduced by the government. So how can we help them even more? This is something that we are exploring right now with our community members. We had a vibrant community of AI for Gooders, which I'm going to talk about a bit later. So the second chatbot that we built for this purposes of helping our charity partners and NGOs in the specific areas is called MKAI. And MKAI is a chatbot that provides sexual and reproductive health education to young people and adolescents in India. So far, we have generated over 1.5 million conversations with over 38,000 young people and adolescents in India. Bear in mind, this happened in less than a year. So again, it shows us like, how popular our chatbot is, but also like, how big is the population of this country, especially young people. So the overall population of young people is estimated at 240 million in India, and only 50% of them like of the age bracket between 15 and 24, to be more specific, receive sex education. So the topic still remains a taboo in many communities, and specifically in rural areas, it's pretty much impossible for young people to get any access like to sexual and reproductive health education, whilst 30% of women have had their like first sexual debut before the age of 18. So like the issue obviously stays there. There's a lot of obviously rape and other type of violence against young people and adolescents, which we have to like keep in mind as well. So fear of judgment and stigma around sexual kind of like subject kind of like prevents adolescents from using the valid information or asking the right people, in school and in other kind of like institutions. So they go to internet, and basically the most affordable information on sexual and reproductive health is obviously, from porn movies and kind of very strange, very dodgy, I would say, websites and web resources. So there's a lot of myths about sexual and reproductive health. We, for example, have seen some really ridiculous questions coming from young people and adolescents where they would ask, how to convince my partner to have sex with me. Maybe I should, drug them somehow. So you can see like all this type of misinformation spreading across the young population. So we need to do something about it. And this is partly the mission of MKAI. We also are kind of aware of bias of certain kind of, again, groups of and communities, I would say, towards the subject. So sometimes people will kind of deliberately say that there's no contraceptives or no kind of like way to protect yourself, just because it's kind of like there's a trend that having children, I would say, at a young age is okay. So we just need to make sure that this kind of like issue is prevented, and obviously providing information in the spaces is very, very important for us for MKAI. Also, we noticed that there's a lot of questions about LGBTQ, about mental health, about some new trendy subjects that young people are talking about, and so these are the new themes that we are kind of like developing from our conversations, and we obviously try to tailor our content and like constantly update it, but also update our NLP engine so it captures this request for this type of new information in the right way, and obviously flags it to us so we can like respond in a timely manner with a charity partner. What else I would like to say about it is that we have a lot of rich media on this particular chatbot. So there's actually a TV series that was created by a charity partner called Dr. Sneha, and this is why the persona of the bot is called MKAI. And basically the TV series are very popular in India, as you can imagine, but this specific one has a very nice kind of like tone of voice, again, very nice illustrative videos on different topics that we use in our chatbot. There's also a lot of GIFs that were created at the back of the series, and like different illustrations and graphics that we can use. Why are we using this is because our users, even though they're like digital first or digital natives, there's still like an issue of literacy, and we kind of like are also aware that young people generally like have a very short attention span. They would like to have something more entertaining, more engaging. So this is why we kind of like prefer to use more rich media on this particular chatbot to engage them more in the conversation. Another kind of like particular difference with this chatbot is that it was developed using Hinglish, and Hinglish is a Hindi transliterated into English. So like using English kind of like alphabet or letters, people are conversing in Hindi. And obviously that creates like an extra complexity for our natural language processing engine, because kind of like there are no existent like dictionaries for young people, and the language itself is like, you know, is dynamically evolving by day. So like you have to constantly update the dictionary. So we have to first of all develop it from scratch pretty much with our partners. Thank God they're like, you know, all native speakers, so it was like very helpful. But then we had to constantly, you know, adapt it and change it and fine tune it, because again, people use so many different variations of the same word, using, you know, English letters as well. So it's kind of like an extra kind of burden for us, but it's exciting and we love working on this chatbot. It also has like a very friendly and empathetic persona. So again, it's very important that, you know, the persona is kind of developed with the user in mind. So we obviously need to make sure that the tone of voice is more or less equal, and we kind of like use the same jargon, the same kind of funny words and stuff like that, so to make it more engaging for them. And finally, we have a lot of quizzes, stories, you know, myth busters, and even small talk. And to be honest with you, lately with COVID, like we have noticed that the young people would like to chat more using small talk kind of feature with our chatbots in MKAI. I guess because they just, you know, want to talk about, you know, just random experiences during COVID, and just, you know, vent again and kind of explain their situation. So this is another kind of area for us to develop in the future. So we definitely need to kind of like look at this area a lot more. And going back to COVID, our charity partner on this project is coordinating the national response campaign. And they even like ask us to support during this difficult time. So they help the government run awareness campaign on Facebook. So it obviously brings a lot more users during this time. So yeah, it's kind of like a good thing, but also we need to be aware of the, you know, capacity, and, you know, make sure that the traffic is handled in the right way. So one thing I would like to mention in terms of you know, like the off-the-shelf AI solutions, why they wouldn't work, for example, in this particular area. And we tried them. We tried a lot of different chatbot platforms before, and to be honest, we just had to decide to build our own platform in the end of the day, because those solutions, they were either like not designed to address needs of the vulnerable people, and the other thing is that they lack the level of language understanding around the social issues that we are kind of like dealing with, because obviously it's really important that you know, we understand, we have this deep kind of like domain expertise to develop the language in the right way, to understand the people in the specific area, in the specific context, in the specific age group. So there's a lot of, you know, design going on around our products, and that's why we had to build our own platform. And aside from that, we run an educational program which is focused on introducing young people from disadvantaged communities into AI, and sparking their creativity by focusing them on solving sustainable development goals. So similar to how we do, you know, build AI for good products, we kind of focus them on how they can, you know, help the, you know, the society to solve global problems. And this has been like very, very popular. Again, we had to change and adapt during COVID. We had to launch the online version of this particular program. Before, it was all face-to-face, so it would be, you know, like a mix of different programming modules together with, you know, sustainable development goals, AI ethics, problem solving, kind of human-centered design, different like storytelling tips that we give them. Now it has to be all online. So again, it changes slightly, you know, the experience. So we had to rework it completely. And another topic that I would like to mention is that we have a community that I already mentioned, I guess, of like-minded people. Like, these are the people passionate about creating AI for good, for the better, fairer world. It is open for all. So we don't have any boundaries in terms of the background. So we don't just accept techies, we accept everyone. We think it's really important that we kind of like have the diversity, not only by, you know, gender or ethnicity or stuff like that, but also the diversity of thought. So it's really important to bring people from other subject areas. And in general kind of like listen to their creativity, and they might have a completely different way of solving the same problem that we as technology can. And through our community, we share our knowledge of how social good and to help vulnerable people. And obviously our motto is a little less talk and a lot more action. And we tell everyone to act together. So it's really important we as a community work with other communities' relations. Finally, another thing that I wanted to mention is at our community, we developed a project which is called Good Simulator, or COVID Simulator for refugee camps. So this was built in a hackathon, but we didn't stop at the prototype level. We kind of carried on building it further. And the project is represented right now by something like 20 international volunteers from all the parts of the world. So these are, epidemiology, modeling people, data scientists, humanitarian workers, social scientists, user research, and kind of user design experts. In essence, what we built is a web tool for NGOs to just, input some information about the population size or the demographic of the area that they're managing. So for example, if it's a refugee camp, they can put the number of people living there, what is the age kind of difference between all the different inhabitants, and how many of the high-risk individuals are there, so people that are particularly susceptible to COVID. And using this information, we can then add a little bit of knowledge from the key kind of research organizations in this world, like organizations like London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, like CDC, Johns Hopkins, that kind of specifically looked at those areas because they have a very unique settings.